Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Dassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's a big day here at PAC 14. We're not at PAC 14. We're doing a show remotely today. And with all the focus on business right now in our pandemic, we've got on Bill Chambers, the CEO and president of the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for having me.
I just want to start off by asking, how are you doing? How's your family? How are you guys doing in this situation?
We're doing well. My wife and I have been working remotely. I guess this is week 7. It's all running together now. But we have managed not to get under each other's skin too much. We're doing a lot of home cooking, which is something we both missed. We weren't doing a lot of that before. And I think we both really believe that one of the silver linings from this crisis will be exactly that, family time. We as a society have become so enamored with speed and wanting everything now, and now we've been forced to slow down. And I think taking that deep breath, even among the tragedy that this whole pandemic is, I think that's part of the reason why I think a lot of people are saying we're going to come out of this even stronger.
Well, at a time where a lot of people are slowing down, I see from my emails and the engagement that the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce is busier than ever. You've got all your employees cooking with gas. And I see in these different COVID leadership meetings, the Zoom meetings, you're a very aggressive participant, speaking for the business community. So what's it done for your job and your role in the community?
Well, the job has just ramped up. Nobody in the business world ever expected to see something as comprehensively negative as the coronavirus. We're used to economic downturns. We're used to seeing industry sectors have issues and having to react to that. And we've had those the last 3 years in Maryland and nationally. But something like this that has devastated the economy, caused death and suffering and sorrow. And at the same time, we all know we have to continue to move on and tick on. I mean, our role at the chamber has ramped up in a way that no one would have anticipated. We field calls, emails, texts, literally morning, noon, and night. My staff will tell you, we're on the phone and texting, answering messages 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then it starts all over again, 5, 6 in the morning. Businesses concerned about the payroll protection plan, which looks like it's going to run out of money
already.
Yes, 2 days after it was restocked. The EIDL loan program, the second round, there likely won't even take any applications for round 2 because the applications in round 1 have used up round 2 money. We've been advocating with our U.S. senators, the governor's office. We need federal payroll tax relief. We need state payroll tax relief. We've asked the governor to tap into the $500 million rainy day fund. That needs to be used. That's what it's there for. It's raining. We're working with our county executive very closely and his staff on creating some opportunities from the county level based on federal and state dollars that will come to us to assist sole proprietors, entrepreneurs, and especially our hospitality partners. But 65% of the unemployment claims nationally are hospitality/restaurant sector. We've created a Facebook page, which has been wildly successful to support all restaurants on Delmarva, not just here in Wycomico County, Accomack County, Virginia, Kent, and Sussex and Delaware, all of our lower shore counties. We're advertising and promoting anybody that does in the food and beverage industry. Their hours, what the special menus are. We're going to continue with that. But that'll be hopefully an offshoot of some programs that we want to try and work hand in hand with the county on for our restaurant sector.
You're probably hearing it all, but what's the dominant thinking process out there? Is it fear? Is it confusion? Is it opportunity? Where are people's heads right now in business?
I would say the majority is fear. And it's based on the fact that the PPP dollars, those businesses that receive them and those who got EIDL loans, even though the EIDL loans have a 30-year maturity on them, the PPP was meant to be stopgap. And that money will be used up and required to be accounted for by the end of June. The fear that businesses are feeling is we're not going to be back to normal at the end of June. We're not going to be back to normal until, put a question mark on that. There is hope that we can see some sense of the new normal by mid to late July. I know the beach towns are saying that maybe food and beverage establishments there could operate on a limited basis by mid-July to mid-August. We're hoping here on the shore that we're able to, on a limited basis, get some of our restaurants open. We already know they're going to be capacity limited. We have already appealed to the mayor, the county executive, and the governor to permit temporarily, where it is possible, additional seating capacity by using outdoor seating. There are restaurants that have that ability in a parking lot. We need to cut the red tape and allow that to happen so that a place like Evolution Craft Brewery, which has to operate, likely all these places are going to operate 25 to 30% capacity. If they're not allowed, and all of the establishments are allowed flexibility for outdoor seating, they're not going to reopen. In fact, they'll close and likely go bankrupt. So we're going to continue to compound and add to the problem. So we need to be nimble and flexible. And we've asked all of our restaurant partners, anyone in the hospitality industry, much less all of our businesses, give us feedback on what reopening means to you. We're working with the state chamber now, and it would be presented to Hogan this week on a reopening agenda that is pretty broad and comprehensive. And I've shared it with some officials locally as well as in the draft form. And it kind of paints the picture about what businesses will need to protect their customers and clients, but at the same time have some ability to operate and start to generate salaries, revenues, and tax revenues.
Yeah, you mentioned Evo, and I didn't get it together in time for the paper this week. I'm going to have a story next week. But the city fast-tracked that plan to expand out the parking lot to allow social distancing while people still go out there and consume. I thought it was just a great win-win thing where the government understood, took the red tape down, and made things happen.
They did. The Knorr brothers met with the chamber several weeks ago, and most businesses on the optimistic side are thinking ahead. What do I need to look like? Well, they had already had a plan in place that was approved by the city. What they needed to do was modify it. They needed to get something done quick in anticipation that maybe outdoor dining would be permitted sooner than indoor dining. They needed that additional capacity, and I applaud the mayor for listening, reacting, and not letting bureaucracy and red tape get in the way. So they're going to be allowed to do it. So those establishments in the city that have the ability for outdoor dining, and those establishments all over the region that can make it work. Tall Tales is a good example.
Yeah.
We need to cut the red tape, make it work. It's not going to be forever, but for the time being, it keeps people employed. So those that are getting their checks with the PPP, they won't go on unemployment in July and August. Likely, most of them will have a job. It may be not as many hours as they had in the past, but they'll be employed.
Yeah, in the times of crisis, you find out who your leaders are. And I have to say, I'm very impressed with how our governor has performed through this thing. What's your feedback on that?
Governor Hogan has been out in front of everything. I would have to say, in talking to my counterparts in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and even New Jersey and Delaware, they're kind of been following the lead of Governor Hogan on a lot of initiatives and mandates and executive orders that he's put in place. I would have to say, under his leadership, the Department of Commerce has done an outstanding job keeping an information flow going. Yes, there's frustrations with unemployment. There's frustrations with the PPP, and the state loan program is, I know it's not out there, folks. They're working on it. But I will say this, it was weeks after the Maryland Department of Commerce was posting up-to-date information before Virginia had anything on their website. So the administration, the governor, his team have been way out in front, more so than most governors in the United States.
And I have to say, the 5 o'clock broadcast that Mayor Jake Day does on Facebook, it's interesting to me because as a newspaper reporter, I've always been able to call a public official and badger them with questions. It's sort of kind of the routine. But now you see the public doing that on a regular basis. And I really love seeing them have access to him and how he takes and answers every question.
Well, this has forced all of our elected officials to really get more in touch with their constituents.
Yeah.
That's not across the board. I don't see that with some council members, but I see it with the mayor. I know our county executive is trying to engage a lot more than he has been. And we already know what the state's doing. But yeah, it puts you in touch. I mean, as far as the chamber goes, I'm hearing from members I haven't heard from in years and hearing from a lot of non-members that want help. We don't want their membership. We just want to be able to help them right now. And if they see value in that, then maybe that'll lead to something in the future.
Yeah, and I have to compliment you. You said that. We don't care if you're a member or not. We'd like for you to be a member, but we're here to help you no matter what.
Correct. Because we're a regional economy as a part of our state and national economy. If we look the other way on anything down here, for any reason, politics, personalities, we are shooting ourselves in the foot.
One thing I just wonder, is there some help that's available that businesses don't know about that you want to make sure that they know that they can get either through you or you can help them understand it?
Well, we're dealing with new questions hourly. Unintended consequences of PPP. We thought we had the loophole closed on big corporations and multi-chain companies getting these loans. We have an issue with sole proprietors and I-9 employees. We're going to try and address that locally. We're asking the state to do that. So I would welcome feedback from independent contractors on what they need and how they need it. I know that SWED Director Dave Ryan and I are working with a small group, a sampling of entrepreneurs and regular business folks, Main Street business folks throughout the county and the region, on getting feedback from them on what they need. So we need feedback. We need information. This is not one size fits all. These programs were thrown together quickly. There are, as I said, unintended consequences. So we want feedback. Email, call me. We're still answering phones. Our chamber number is working. We're getting messages and returning those. And I'm happy to let people know you have my email. You can post it here on the show. But we need feedback is what we need, because it is a dynamic and fluid situation.
The reopening process, there's some controversy with that. Some people think it's not fast enough. Others think it's too fast. Where are you on this idea with reopening? How do you think we should proceed?
Well, we know from conversations with the state officials that geographic considerations are going to be one of the top factors in the relaxation of mandates and executive orders, which is why we've been telling everyone, slow your roll. Our rate of infection is relatively low. Even with the latest poultry processing issues, it's still relatively low compared to other jurisdictions in Maryland. If we don't practice social distancing, we don't follow the stay-at-home orders, and we become a hot spot in Maryland, then we'll be delayed in getting reopening done. Part of what we push the state for is exactly that. Look at geography. Western Maryland, Southern Maryland, the Eastern Shore, relatively low infection rates. If we are able to maintain that, follow the 14-day gold standards the governor's put in place, we will see relaxations take place first in rural communities.
Yeah, but if you look at the mayor just yesterday, if you throw Sussex into our SMSA with the idea that the virus doesn't stop at a border, we're the number 14 hotspot in the nation right now, if you throw that in.
It's not good, but I also know in talking to state folks that they'll look very closely at county by county when they look at reopening processes. Governor Carney did something weeks ago by kind of shutting down his state borders. I know there was talk of it here behind the scenes locally, that maybe we should have asked Governor Hogan to do that because of the cross travel between Sussex and Wycomico, but frankly, it just wasn't practical. It made sense on paper, it just wasn't practical. And I think we're feeling the effects of that now. But I applaud Peninsula Regional Health System and Steve Leonard and their team. They are ahead of this as well. They knew this was coming. They knew potentially the meat processing industries were going to get hit, just like our senior centers all over the United States have been hot spots. So I think they've got their hands wrapped around this, especially with this increased testing as well.
Yeah, I was going to give you a chance to throw a bouquet to the first responders, because I know I'm always skeptical about everything, but I'm just so impressed with how everyone has performed through this thing. I'm really, really impressed.
Well, it's been a team effort. I mean, what Jeff Merritt's doing with the first responders, not only him, but other folks in the community. I mean, look, they're putting their lives at risk. I don't care whether we're in a lower infection rate area or not. We all know one infected person could impact dozens of lives. So they are truly heroes. And the flyovers yesterday in New York and
Wasn't
today
that
in
great? Yeah.
Philadelphia for the
Wow.
Blue Angels and the Air Force Falcons, it was heartwarming. Those are the kinds of gestures that keep people going. We're going to need to keep our first responders in our hearts and prayers for a long time because this is a marathon and not a sprint.
My job is to watch people, and I've been watching you closely lately, and I'm concerned that you might be close to losing your mind over the situation with the Salisbury Airport and the municipal water. You want to talk about that?
It's unfathomable. And there are members of our county council that should be embarrassed beyond words. And many of them have been absent in the discussion. You know, this was taken up as a work session in January on the county council's agenda. This does not require a public hearing. These two legislative resolutions, not getting a return phone call from our county council president, not getting a return email. It's government gone bad, and I will tell you and your listeners, as well as the folks already know this in our region, this past General Assembly session in Annapolis, we were high on people's lists of things to talk about, not in a good way.
I know you're a get-it-done guy, and I get to be philosophical on some stuff, and I'm trying to understand the suspicion that people have about the annexation.
First of all, the city of Salisbury, not now nor ever, has any interest in operating an airport. That's not going to happen. And the citizens cannot be annexed on a whim or by edict or by dictate. And that's what's baffling to me, that we have elected officials that don't understand that.
Anything I forgot to ask as we're going through this thing? What kind of feedback do you need? How are you able to serve?
Well, we appreciate, Greg, what your publication's doing. This is, again, it's such a fluid situation. Your paper has been on top of all of these issues, from the things we're talking about with governance to all the great things that are happening in the community, the people that are giving of themselves, our first responders, again, keeping them in our thoughts and prayers. But what the chamber needs is we're moving on. The business climate's going to look a lot different from here on out. E-commerce is going to be bigger than ever. Businesses that haven't embraced e-commerce are reaching out to us saying we need help to start doing this. So it's going to be a different world, but we will adapt. And I think in the long run, when we look back on this 5 years ago or 5 years from now, despite the tragedy and the death, we're going to be a different society, and I think in a better way.
Yeah, and I will say, I always look forward to the networking opportunities that the Salisbury Chamber of Commerce offers. I love the spring banquet and the awards. I always hope to win an award. I miss all that, but you're serving in a whole new way. It's a whole different, it's something you've always done before, but people see it more visibly now. And I just think it's great how you guys have stepped up. So we thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Joining us now, not in the studio, is Amanda Pollock, the Director of Infrastructure and Development for the City of Salisbury. Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks for having me, Greg. I appreciate being here today.
How are you and your family through all this?
We're doing well. There's two of us working or schooling at home every day, and then my husband's still out in the workforce, out of the house. So he's the lucky one. He gets to see outside, but we're hanging in there. It's our new normal. We're getting used to it.
Now, it's budget time in Salisbury, and I see you're participating in all the city council meetings where they're debating things, and you're doing it remotely. And it looks to me like you guys are doing it very well.
We are. We're staying busy. It's interesting. When this first started and we started working from home, I put together this wish list of things that I haven't gotten to in a long time, and I thought, oh, when I'm at home, I'll hit all these projects that I've had on my long-term list. I haven't touched any of them. We're working normally with email, and we can VPN into our system. It's amazing how quickly we can adapt to working remotely. And now that we've all got the hang of Zoom meetings like this, I'm on the phone all day, or I'm on Zoom meetings. So it's different. I can't express, there is that difference in not having human contact, but at least we're still able to work. We're very, very fortunate and happy to have our jobs and be able to stay productive.
Situation recently with the county council meeting that you were a participant in, and they were fumbling around for some solutions. And I was yelling, "Amanda is on, just ask Amanda." But it's county, it's a separate organization. They had their own thoughts. But I knew you were there, and I knew you could have helped them make some good decisions. So I appreciate you being available to everyone during these difficult decision-making times.
Of course, no problem. Yeah, I was there for technical advice, but the meeting didn't go in that direction, so that's okay.
So update us on some projects. Basically downtown Salisbury is still torn up in a lot of places. It's repaired in a lot of places. I'm starting to understand the vision for a lot of these things. But tell us what's going on right now on West Main Street, the former downtown plaza.
Sure. So the Main Street Master Plan project continues. The major disruptive work is on West Main Street now, which was the plaza. And now it is becoming a road. It looks really different right now when you drive by because there are no trees right now. And I think that's the visual that people really see when they drive by Main Street. But we will be planting more trees and sensible street trees once this project progresses. So the phase that they're in on West Main Street is utilities. And as you can imagine, the utilities in the plaza are really old, and it's kind of a mess, and there's not great record drawings. So it's interesting, to say the least. Some of the buildings on the plaza are actually served from either Camden Street or Church Street. So it's a little bit different than the rest of Main Street, where all of those businesses were served from Main Street. Here it's a little bit hit or miss. So you have to be really sure if you pass by a business and you say, wow, I didn't see a sewer lateral, we didn't come across a water service, before you go past that business, you have to be positive that you didn't miss a service and that we're not disconnecting them by accident. Now, that has not happened. They're doing great. Actually, that's the benefit of everyone working from home, is these construction projects have been able to continue, and there's much less disruption. There's less people to disrupt, essentially. So the contractors have been making great progress. So right now they're heading from St. Peter's down towards Market Street. And as you know, for sure, Greg, the intersection with North Division and Main Street was a challenge. They were there for a long time. We found a lot of unforeseen things in the ground. We're anticipating that Market Street and Main Street's probably going to be similar. We're expecting that to be another very interesting intersection, just from the record drawings that we have. So we're hopeful that it'll go smoothly. The contractor has done significantly more test fitting in advance of construction. So before, they utilize our drawings, all the records that we have to know where utilities are in the ground. Now they have employed crews in the last few months to go ahead and start digging holes and test pitting and verifying where utilities are. So it's made their work on the plaza section go much, much quicker. So it's been great. It's been noticeable. And as you can see now, up towards Division Street, they're already starting to pour sidewalk and curb and gutter. So they're moving right along. They have a utility crew on one half of the street and a concrete crew on the other half. So they're making good progress. There's some beautiful architecture on the plaza. And now you're really highlighting the buildings. You can see that architecture and the history, the old banks, and just some of the really interesting stonework.
Another thing I never considered that I really appreciate is from North Division Street, where I am by the courthouse, I can look down the sidewalk toward the library, looking south, and I can see that entire sidewalk now. So if someone is all the way down by the parking garage on past First Shore Federal, I can see people and recognize them from a block and a half away, because that walkway is bigger and it has a very graceful curve, and it has a whole different feel about opening up downtown. It's just an amazing thing that's been done through this, and I don't know if anyone really anticipated that.
Yeah, and pedestrian safety and pedestrian accessibility was always a goal of this project, but you're right, now that you can really see it instead of just looking at it on a plan, it does make a difference that sidewalks are wider and that it's more user-friendly, and there's not a pole in the middle of the sidewalk. They're ADA compliant. It should be a huge benefit when we're finally back open and everyone's back downtown. And let's think about the next Folk Festival in 2021 when this is done and all those sidewalks are done and everyone can really be enjoying the way this project looks at completion. The back-end parking is fantastic, and it's not something I can take credit for. I didn't have that vision either. I'm excited that George and Lynch is already parking that way. It's going ahead and showing people this is going to work and here's how it works. And again, from a bicyclist perspective, the driver of the car now is faced in the right direction. They just have to glance over their shoulder and they could see a bicycle coming, instead of, I can't see backing out because I can't see, but there's a big truck next to me. So it really gives them a clear sight line to be able to pull out of that parking space without conflicting with somebody walking or riding a bike. So it's exciting. It's something new. And I think that's the exact right place to try out back-in parking, right in front of the government office building.
The other beautiful thing that's going on is the traffic circle. And it looks to me like you guys are moving very fast on that.
They are. It's the same contractor. I should send a compliment here to George and Lynch, is doing both projects. They were the successful bidder on both Main Street and the traffic circle, and they're making great progress. So it's funny, back when we bid the circle project, lots of contractors said, I could do this a lot faster if there was no traffic. Well, there's a lot less traffic now than there was when this project started. So it's been very fortunate for them to have reduced traffic loads. It helps their productivity. So you can see the stage of traffic that we're in now is a little bit difficult. They're still working on the Camden Avenue side. So it's a slightly odd arrangement right now, but once they start paving in the next couple of weeks, they'll pave under this scenario, and then you'll start to see the actual circle take place, and the maintenance of traffic will be set up more like the circle for the final paving, of course. So we are about a month away from having that project complete. They're looking at the end. Yeah, it's very exciting. So soon you'll see paving and then striping, lots of signage. And of course, I know what you want to talk about. The obelisk, you're planning now, what base do we need, what foundation, what footers, that type of thing. So they will be pouring the foundation for that in the next couple of weeks. There will be some traffic disruption, obviously, when that comes in on a flatbed with big cranes around. We will probably have to temporarily close the intersection for a few hours when that gets erected, but that should be mid-month. Obviously, they need to get that done before final paving and everything else.
As the construction process goes on, and it's very slow or it's deliberate, they're able to see and envision how it's going to work.
That's a great point, and I hadn't really thought through that in design, but you're right. Now that people are seeing kind of one side open, the other side open, I think they're starting to slowly get used to it. We have that lane. If you're coming off of Mill Street, there's a dedicated lane to go to Riverside Drive. So you're not truly entering a circle. And I think that will make a big difference too. When people get used to that and go, oh, all right, so I don't have to try to navigate into a circle and right out of a circle if I just want to turn right on Riverside. So I think
not in the circle, yeah.
Yeah, right. There's things like that in the design that were very thoughtfully done based on where the volumes of traffic go.
Thanks for bringing us into your home. We really appreciate it. We enjoy the looking at the Lehigh University memorabilia in the background.
Very good.
So thrilled that you're still connected with your alma mater. That's terrific. And thanks for all you do, and thanks for overseeing these really difficult projects at a really difficult time.
You're welcome. I'm always happy to join you. Thank you.
She's Amanda Pollock. She's the Director of Infrastructure and Development for the City of Salisbury, and we're thrilled that she was with us here today. I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper, another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.